Okay, so what do people mean when they say God told me? The reason why I want to share this is because I personally believe that this is an important topic to avoid manipulation, including manipulating yourself. When we don't really have clarity of how your system as a woman works, when we don't have clarity or we're not totally in touch with all of you, each of the parts that your system of human system of woman is composed as, and not even women, men as well, and I normally speak to women but men as well, okay? When we're not totally in touch with our system, we are going to create confusion, especially for women. I'm not saying that men don't get confused, of course, and there is a delicacy or kind of like different mystery to the female nervous system specifically, especially when it comes to intuition. So a lot of us as women, we will have an intuitive knowing, or we'll have something that arises within us, either a desire, a need, a feeling, a knowing, a sensation, normally one of those things. Those things arise within us. And then we create stories, meaning we have reality that there is arising inside of us. And then we have the interpretation of reality, which is our minds. What we are interpreting, the stories that we're telling. So when people say, and or ourselves are saying, God told me, what we're actually saying is, I have this sensation, desire, need, feeling, knowing arising within me, within my experience of reality. I am occupied. Yes. Oh my God, thank you. Okay. So we have this experience of reality that is arising within us, that our minds are interpreting. And then we are interpreting this as God is saying this to me, which is partially true and it's not totally true. It's partially true because, especially from the framework that we are working here in this space with me, from the framework that we're working here, it is everything is God. Because here we're working for you to get better relationships, to not just find a partnership and construct or build a beautiful partnership with a man. Find that for yourself or recreate that inside of a relationship that you're currently in right now. But also we are interested in liberation, because in my opinion they are not disconnected. The more liberated you are, the greater your relationships are. When I mean liberation from all the delusion, the suffering, the pain, the karma, the sankharas, the content, like repairing your energetic body, your psycho-emotional structures, repairing those. When when we are more liberated, or like working toward liberation, the greater our relationships are and the greater our power in relationship, not just romantic relationship, but also romantic relationship, but in the world and relationship with everything that is God, including yourself, is greater, is better, is more easeful. So that's what we're interested in here. So we're approaching everything from that framework. From the framework are not just your romantic relationships, but also liberation. So when you are able to interpret your system in a way that it is more accurate with reality, which is God is telling me, but God is also you. And this is not something that you're conceptualizing, because if you're thinking you're God, you are not being God, you're thinking you're God. You're not being God. Being God is different than thinking I'm God. Thinking is a conceptualization of it. It is not an embodiment of it. And there is intelligence in life. There is intelligence in creation itself. There's already intelligence in creation itself. You are created as an intelligent human being. And you created as an intelligent human being in this body. You have intelligence, information that arises within you that then you may be interpreted as God is telling me. But God is you. So when people are saying God is telling me, they're saying I am feeling, I am sensing, I am intuiting, I am desiring, I am this that is arising within me, and this seems like that God is telling me. And I'm creating a story based on what is arising. But that's delusion. That's not reality. So if we can't stay with reality, well, we're going to manipulate others. And we're going to manipulate ourselves, because we're not going to be in touch with reality as it is. We're going to want to be somewhere else in delusion. And a lot of people do this because they're ignorant, not because they're trying to manipulate people. People, good people, spiritual people, do this, saying, oh, God told me, like, because they're sensing and they're feeling and they're like having a perception even maybe, and they're using this language as a way of interpreting what the information that is arising within them. They're not doing this on purpose, by the way. Most people, some people may be doing this on purpose, okay, but like most people are not doing this on purpose. And maybe even you yourself, you may have done this, where you're saying, oh, God is telling me this, but it's a story. So, one occasion that I think may be a good example of this and how dangerous it is to use this type of language, in my opinion, and not to use a more accurate language when it comes to reality, is because more naive minds, especially like spiritual minds, have like this sense of goodness and wanting to do good in the world. Like there is like an already in like, this is almost everybody if you're not like a sociopath or like you really have like a broken structure in your psyche that needs to be healed. So most people have goodness in their hearts, so they may have the best intentions, but they're still doing harm because they're in delusion. just because they're ignorant. So, story and how these injuries can be. So there was this man walking on the street, and a woman approaches him and says, "Hey, like I think I know you. Like I think I've known you from somewhere else. Like I think I had a dream about you, and God told me that you were meant to marry my daughter." And the man was like, "Oh wow, he's a good-hearted man." So it was like, "Oh wow, like, well, let me just kind of get to know more about this. Like, what do you mean? Like, you look familiar to me as well." Like this type of synchronicity thing. So he comes, starts getting to know the family and all of that, and the woman, it comes to be a priestess, like she preaches like a preacher at church on like Christianity, especially because Christians do this a lot. Christians do this a lot, a lot, a lot. And they're not doing it on purpose. Okay, that's again, I think clear by now. So he started to get into his head about the fact that, well, maybe, yeah, maybe God is actually leading this synchronicity of life, of me marrying this woman. So he ended up marrying the woman, based on the base of God told me. But the marriage was full of manipulation and full of dissatisfaction, even on the basis of desiring goodness and obeying the word of God. Because even texts that talk about the word of God, they're talking about that inherent wisdom, that inherent wisdom, intelligence that arises from within us as humans, that we can get in touch with the more we do the work to dismantle any type of illusion, which is very easy to do, and it's simple to do. Maybe not easy, it can take a while. It can take a while to dismantle any type of illusion just by getting to know your psycho-emotional system. And then once you know your psycho-emotional system, you can be manipulated by anyone saying the word of God, and you can actually see who is more awake and who is not, who is actually more in touch with reality and who is not. You have better discernment, and because you have better discernment, you have better relationships. There's a greater intelligence that awakens in you when you get to know your psycho-emotional system, and you stop using the God told me to make your decisions, and instead honor the intelligence of life that, yeah, it's God itself, but it's also you. Okay. So if you desire to get to know more of your psycho-emotional system, to allow yourself to fall in love in a way where just orgasmic presence is in you, even within working out all the things that need to be worked out so you can go into a liberating process, the Feminine Resurrection Program is open. We go into specifically how to identify every part of your psycho-emotional system, of your energy system, and get you in touch, so in touch with that innate intelligence that lives and arises within you without confusion. Without confusion, like super clear. I heard someone said that the definition of psychological disease was confusion. I am paraphrasing here. And I thought this was really on point, because anytime that we're feeling dis-ease in our psycho-emotional system, there is some sort of confusion. Now, confusion can be part of reorganizing, especially if you had like a lot of trauma, reorganizing and shifting paradigms in your psyche. It can be part of that as well, so we don't want to dismiss that. But we can have clarity around of the confusion that we're experiencing, especially if you have someone to guide you through the process. So if you desire to know how to know your psycho-emotional system, to have clarity for yourself and in relationship to others, and also know how to relate with your communication in such a clear way that you never have to use God told me, because that's not true. It's not true in the way that we're articulating it, and it's dangerous. It's not true that God told you. What is true is that you are sensing, feeling, something is arising within you, and knowing, and that information that is made of the essence of God, that is you, is what needs to be sorted through to make decisions for yourself. Nobody is like speaking to you in your mind. We're using the mind to interpret the information that arises within you. Because saying God told me, for a lot of people, this is how we have created massacres, movements of genocides, and just acting in ways that are harmful, because we say God taught us. It is more true to say that you have this information arising within you that is made of God, because everything is God, God is omnipresent, than to say God told me. Because then it's also like a personal thing, you know. It's not something that you impose, so then you can take responsibility for it. And when you can take responsibility for it, you have more power. And you do less harm. More power and less harm. That sounds great for me. More power and less harm. Okay. If you desire to know more about the Feminine Resurrection Program, where we go over this in depth, comment below. If you're watching this video as a replay, please comment watching replay. And if you got something out of this, comment below. What is that you're taking away with you? Like, what is that realization or that insight or that clarity that this video gave you, if any. And if it didn't, also let me know. Okay, we can take a big breath in. And we're gonna say Om together, but we're gonna push the Om toward your nasal. So it's gonna be Om. Okay, inhale in. Om.